Steve, good morning. Episode 9, the Broadway block. We got Hoodie Joe here today and Potvin Sucks Steve to go over the Islanders New York Rangers game last night. Took a loss, got a point in the standings, lost in overtime. Ryan Pulock with the winner for the Islanders. Rangers at 44 points, tied with the Flyers, only 4 points behind the Bruins. The Devs are at 34, looking up at us. What did you think of the game last night, Steve?
So we got off to a poor start. Kreider takes that pretty senseless penalty right around the 18 and a half mark. Gets to Palmieri for his first as an Islander. Him and Pajot both scored their first as Islanders against us. The first period, we gave up 17 shots on goal to take a pretty early 2-0 deficit. But we sort of battled back and got the shots down to 32 for the game. So held them to 15 for the rest of the game after that poor start. Not ideal, but I do like the way that we responded, especially the kids line there playing really well.
Some fun things. Glad you brought up the kids line. It was Kakko's 100th game. That was fun. Kravi's 5th game, first NHL game with a point. Loved how he was playing, grinding, making plays happen. That passover that hit off strong Zibanejad's skate. That was a great goal. Loved how the team responded in the second, the kids line, but kind of in the third period, we fell a little flat. We didn't play the last 2 minutes of the game. We basically played to overtime. Felt like the ice was slanted this way. I was just hoping we got to get through this to get that point. Then overtime came. Pulock put that great shot in at the end. Some storylines I think we mentioned last week or last episode. We had Shesterkin versus Sorokin. So that was a good matchup. What do you think?
Yeah,
Steve?
look forward to seeing those guys battled out in the future. Goaltending was a big story, and Chesterkin looked great. Minus the first goal, he kind of looked a little lopsided. The guy moves to 7-5 lifetime against his pal Sorokin. So dating back to their careers in the KHL. So
All the way
definitely
to the
something that,
juniors.
yeah, I can't wait to see these guys moving forward. Both 25 years old, both really young and obviously good at their job. And Sorokin now moves to 10 out of 11 for his last few games. So he's been playing out of his skull lately. I feel like we, like you said, had a lot of support from the kids line. They were working really hard. Kravi was not only all over the lineup, but all over the ice. He played on all 4 lines and mostly came in as a sub to Kakko or Blackwell after a power play or a penalty kill. So it was really nice to see Kravi. His stick was in a lot of plays, deflecting plays in the neutral ice. So really good game from him overall. And a couple people had tweeted out during the game that he seems better than we thought at the defensive part of it.
Agreed.
I think you are either born with those offensive talents and can sort of learn to play defense, but it's really hard to coach the slick mitts and the lightning shot that some of these kids have. So I'd rather them learn to play a defensive structure under an NHL game. And it seems like he's really taken to that role after not making the team out of camp.
Agreed. So the Islanders were 1 for 3 on the penalty. So we did have a decent penalty kill minus the first Palmieri goal within the first 2 minutes of the game. So that was good. I thought we took a bunch of high sticking penalty by Fox. Didn't really help us. Couple booch fighting that guy. I was okay with it when we went 4-on-4. Another thing I wanted to bring up about the kids line was besides everybody grinding, Hedel down on the boards and everything, David Quinn must have remembered that Lafreniere could take some faceoffs because he was 3 for 4 on faceoff wins, which was big for us.
So the first one I noticed, Hedel gets chased. It's a offensive zone faceoff. Lafreniere steps in to take the faceoff, wins it back. Some good pressure along the boards. It was sustained long enough where when we had a loose puck, Lafreniere, like we had mentioned, we wanted to see more of, uses the body and delivers a huge hit in the corner. Kako, his work along the boards lately has been tremendous, and he continued up that trend with gobbling up the puck, throwing it back to the point, and a clapper from the point from Hayek gets deflected along the way. Heedle was causing some havoc in the front of the net. So all the things you like to see, especially from a young team like that. We had mentioned that these highlight reel goals are going to come from these guys. But to see the grinding goals, that's what you really want to see. Winning the face-off, hitting below the goal line, working along the boards, and getting traffic from the front of the net. It was perfect. It was a perfect way to draw it up. And then after the whistle, that line was out there again. So it just goes to show you the trust that they're earning from the head coach there.
You gotta love it too, because it's tough to come to New York, especially be a number one pick in all major sports. You know, New York never really gets that many number one picks. So for Lafreniere to come out and be playing the way he plays, especially after 2 weeks ago in the New York media, them coming out and saying this guy's a bust, he's not the generational talent they thought. He just continues to do his game, grind and get better and play at a higher NHL level. So you gotta love to see that. So another talking point today is the trade deadline is today. Steve, do you see anybody coming? What do you think?
It's tough to say, man. We're in that spot where anything that we would add, we would have to take away from the core that we have. I feel like Gorton has to feel pretty confident in this group to at least make a push. If we can take a team like the Islanders, one of the best teams in the division, one of the best teams in the league, made it to the Final Four last year and are looking like they're in that conversation to not only make the playoffs but do some damage. We can obviously hang with these guys, having beaten them and gone to overtime with them, and having good games against the Penguins. So my thought is that they have to be pretty confident in what we have, and that in the offseason, this will open us up to any opportunities that are out there. I can't see anyone really coming or going, and the only names that really stand out, Smith last night had a good goal. Does that make him play himself onto the lineup where we feel like we have to keep him, or does that make him sort of seem like more of an attractive asset, having 2 goals in the last 10 games, making him more of a sought after player? Who knows? I would imagine that we pretty much stand pat, which as a Ranger fan rather, that's really unusual to see, right? To be quiet at the deadline, but we'll see, man.
Yeah, I think it's a shorter season. So I think, let's say if the deadline was in 2 weeks and maybe we lost 2 out of 4 to the Devs coming up, we might be selling a little bit more. But since we're right there, 4 points out, looking in at the Bruins, I think we're going to stay put to get today too. Bruins obviously are going all in. They traded for Taylor Hall, so they obviously believe that they're going to try to make a run. So I could see us, catching them. I could see us not catching them. It's all how we play these next 4 straight games of the Devils. We play them Tuesday again. I think Shesterkin will be back out there for them. Who do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some argument that perhaps Georgiev did play well enough to earn that start last night, and then it's obviously easier to make that call too now that the game is over, to be like, oh, we should have played Georgiev. But there is a back-to-back coming up against the Devils in a couple games, so I would imagine to see him play one of those 2 games for sure. Some teams in the league are riding their number one right now for their back-to-back games as well. So I think we're in a position where we trust both guys. It's just a matter of who's playing better in practice. And Quinn's always mentioned how we don't really have a number one. I think you could call Shesterkin the true number one, and for the majority of the season should probably see the rest of the starts. One note about the Bruins trade, man, they didn't break the bank. They trade Bjork for essentially for Lazar straight up, and
second, right?
Second overall pick, or second round pick rather, for Taylor Hall, which the price tag has seemed to drop a little bit on that guy, having not had the breakout seasons that we're used to seeing from him. So maybe he can be on a second line role. I can't imagine him cracking their top line. That seems pretty cemented. And maybe with a lesser role, he can do well under somebody like Krejci.
I think it's also to note that I don't think we're going out and looking for players, but I think if someone came at Jeff Gorton and really wanted Georgiev or someone else, it would have to be a good offer, but we could move someone like that, knowing that we have Kincaid back there. Obviously, it looks like Georgiev's the number 2 guy for us. And like Steve said, Igor is finally now the number 1. There's no real competition in that sense. But maybe we get rid of Tony DeAngelo. Another team might be looking for somebody to expose to the Kraken. He might be a person that gets traded today. You never know. It's going to be an interesting day. I think there's going to be a lot of moves around the NHL. So interesting season, Steve.
Honestly, I don't see Tony. I feel like he's going to really lose out on this. I think he's someone who had his future sort of in the palm of his own hands and chose to punt it. So he may be on the outside looking in until the season's over, and maybe even past that. I mean, maybe no one takes a flyer on him, just knowing that he is what he is in the locker room. So we'll see. Damaged goods, man.
Damaged goods. It's a hard product to sell. All right. It looks like that's all the time we have for episode 9 here. Thank you, Potvin Steve. Hoodie Joe here signing out. We'll keep you monitored on the trade deadline. Hopefully we get a big win on Tuesday against the Devs. Let's go Rangers.
Awesome, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.